Well. Many thanks to you for staying with us. You're here live on AM Ghana Nadwa Television, and 65 years into the journey, and we're still here, still battling. But the battle is certainly the Lord's. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with my younger brother, Ronald Adi, and I said freedom. And I was expecting him to respond, yay, or maybe, freedom as well. But I said freedom, and he said shatter, shatter. I'm like, huh. So this is what the generation that we have recently know. They know freedom and shatter. They don't so much know of the immemorial words that were declared by Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah at the old polo grounds here in Accra on 6th March 1957. It says, freedom, freedom, freedom. I wish I could add the accent that he used in there, but I don't have that energy that Osajifo had, because I cannot exhibit the joy that he exhibited at that time. But he said that Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever. So when we say freedom, it has, as far as Ghana is concerned, it has so much to do, so much connection with Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, who through his fight and fight of other members won independence from colonial rule from the British for us as a country, and since then we are seen as a sovereign state, a sovereign nation. But the question this morning is that 65 years down the lane, are we proud to hit our hands on our chests and say that I am a proud Ghanaian? Are we living in 65 years? Now, 65 years by now, if you're a human being, your gray hair should have encompassed the entire scalp of your head. But unfortunately, we cannot see the grays of Ghana. Only that we hope that at the end of the day, there would be a silver lining in the thick clouds. But whilst we sleep and we shroud ourselves in worry, hoping to be proud as Ghanaians, we only wake up to the din of mourning and we say, hey, Adiachi Bium. In the gospel song, we'll say, Adiachi Bium, Mesoria ye. But in normal parlance, we say, Adiachi Bium, Mesain Ebeshia Biumana. It is quite sad. The concerns are many. But yesterday, the President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, delivered a very good speech. He touched on the economy of the nation. He touched on coup mongering. He says that we'll do everything within our power to resist any unconstitutional rule. We'll be discussing 65 years down the lane. What is there to celebrate? My guest for this morning, Justice Isaac Dose, retired appeals court judge, and he will help us delve into specifically the speech that was delivered by His Excellency yesterday. Good morning, Justice, and welcome to AM Ghana.
Good morning.
How are you doing, sir?
Fine. Good morning to all the listeners and the viewers.
Very well. Yeah. They're also saying a very good morning to you. So, 65 years down the lane, when Ghana attained independence, when it was declared by His Excellency Osajifo, I don't know if you were there, but I mentioned grey hair, and certainly you are blessed to have a lot. In fact, with the small that I have on my beard, I'm very, very proud. But I mean, it wouldn't match. What I have wouldn't match the years of experience that you have had. Maybe you were in there, or maybe you were quite young. But share with us, from when you were born up until now, what have you, what is your perception of the transformation of Ghana each year as we observe our birthday?
For me, it's a great disappointment. At the time, judging from the time independence was declared, I was in primary class 4.
I see.
About 10 years older than Ghana.
Older than Ghana.
So I heard a lot as a child. Right. You know, as a child, when the elders are discussing, you go and hide in the corner.
Exactly.
And listen. And my grandfather and his brother were very politically active. Indeed, the first member of parliament from my district was from my village. Right. And he was very active in visiting our school and, you know, mentoring us. So I knew a lot about what was going to happen and what the plans were, the excitement of the elders and the rest of it. But 65 years down the line, I don't think we have achieved much. It's very disappointing. I think that the generation before my generation, those who took over the and after my generation, have not done well. I don't think we are living for the future what we came to meet. Yeah.
What were, you know, some typical you know, moments, or let's put it, how would you describe the things that we are experiencing now? Because as time evolves, so does systems and the economy and everything that encompasses our existence human beings change. How would you describe the things, you know, that you've experienced from when you were 10 years independence moment up until now?
There have been changes, but the changes are not positive.
But are they significant?
Well, that is an opinion. For me, I don't think they are significant because the euphoria which surrounded the independence and the kinds of things that were planned and so on and so forth have not been implemented. The lack of implementation is the major thing, but the major cause of the lack of implementation is not due to the fact that nothing has been done, but because we are fond of reversing what others have done.
That is the problem.
That is the major problem.
We tend to reverse
what others have done. Nation building is a continuum. But from my experience, each time there is a change of government, there is a reversal.
And a decontinuation of previous government initiatives.
We will spend time to deactivate what has been put there and then spend time to restart, which is not good for us.
It appears that for every change of government, there is a restart.
Even sometimes there's when there is even a change from the same political party to its own, there is
to a member of the same political party.
Because some of the time you look at if what Rawlings was doing was not what Mills did, and what Nana Akufo-Addo is doing is not what Kufuor did. It's not a continuation of what Kufuor did. Everybody wants to stamp his personal authority or his personal self-aggrandizement on the national psyche, and it doesn't seem as if it is the best way to go.
Well, if what you're saying is what stands, I mean, the decontinuation of you know, national policies and even perhaps, you know, partisan ideas on which some national policies are built, you realize that a typical time when there has been a continuous or a sequential, you know, handover of power from a member of the same political party to another member of the same political party was when we unfortunately lost President Mills. But hitherto, there has been a transition from one major political party to the next major political party. So from the Rawlings regime we went to the Kufuor regime, we came to the Atamils, and you realize that this is a transfer of power from different political parties, except for the Atamils, John Dramani Mahama, regime. Who is to blame for all of these, rejection or decontinuation of previous government policy?
Our blame is on the inordinate desire to carve a glory for individuals.
Parochial interest?
Very parochial interest. You see, the elders used to say that if two people are struggling over something, the wise third person should take advantage of their struggle and benefit from what they have.
So, for instance, you and I are fighting over a lady. Somebody else should come and pick the lady and go.
Oh, and then all of you can go to hell. See, because you see, here we are. We have a bipolar world. We were not part of the creation of the bipolar. The Europeans who have created their bipolar, or the whites who have created their bipolar, socialism and capitalism as economic models for development. And we have decided to take sides with them. And we have been doing it for so many years. It's not benefiting us. It's not as if the socialists are prepared to come and take us out of our mess. Or it's not as if the capitalists are prepared to take us out of our mess, if indeed there is a mess, or to salvage us or to help us. Each time they come, it is with conditions. Whether it's the Chinese who are coming, socialists, or the Russian socialists, or the Americans, or the British capitalists, it's the same thing. They come and take advantage of us. But yet we call them development partners, when it is very clear that they are the development competitors. They are competing with us.
Well,
and they don't want us to progress. They want to keep us where we are, so that they can always be our masters.
Would it be right? I mean, do you think that it is right, to put development in competitive forms? Yes, we do compare to our peers. Yesterday, the president says that when you compare, for instance, our GDP to our peers, for instance, ours is not, encouraging. But when it comes to development, considering the resources that may be available, and time past and experience that may be available to a nation, and considering the other aspects of history, do you think that you would want to rethink the thought that we are competing with other nations as far as development is concerned?
Competition is part of nature. Sometimes even if you don't intend to compete, somebody will be competing with you.
Okay.
So after competition, it must be there. But the question is, what are you competing? Who are you competing with? Who are you comparing yourself with? If you are comparing Ghana with Togo, it's a poor comparison. Because Togo will appear to be almost resourceless. And we are overblessed with resources. But we don't seem to be seeing our way through. As I was saying, there's so much waste in the system. Somebody starts a building, he has finished the structure. He hasn't finished it. There's a change of government, and that building is allowed to stay as it was.
Because it is not in the interest of...
It was not started by the new powers that be. And some of the time, there's also the question of inordinate rush to get things done. We start so many projects, and we don't even have a foggiest idea about where we are going to get money to complete them. So you see a road has been started, bridges have been built, it's abandoned 10, 15, 20 years, it's never completed. Then somebody comes and starts another road, brings it up to the same level, it's not completed. School buildings, the same. The University of Ghana sports complex, for example, it has been signed there for almost 30 years. It can be used. It's only recently that they are trying to complete it. Why do we do that kind of thing to ourselves?
So, I mean, you have lived longer than we've had independence.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Ghanaians usually call for is the blueprint to a national development plan. Do you think that the void of a national development plan has been the bane of our development as a country?
I disagree with you to the extent that we don't have a national development plan. We have two national development plans.
Yeah, which have
the NPP National Development Plan and the NDC National Development Plan. Now, when you are doing that, you can never go forward, because one is pulling the other down. Each time it looks as if the pull him down syndrome is there. This is what I would describe as negative competition. See, there's something I would describe as positive competition. If my neighbor puts up a 25-bedroom house and I put a 50-bedroom house, it is positive competition. But if my neighbor is to put up his 10-bedroom house and I waste all my time or spend all my efforts stop preventing him from completing that building, that is negative competition. That's what we are involved in at the moment. So if you go to some countries, an edifice has been put up, and you will see fairness. This project was conceived by A, started by B, completed by C, and commissioned by D. But you see, sometimes a president comes to power, somebody has built a project, he has almost completed it, and then 2 months later he goes and puts his name on it and says this project was commissioned by so and so, as if he is the one who built it. It is fair to acknowledge the efforts of others. For example, when Atta Mills, may he so rest in peace, supervised the completion of the M1, that the George Bush highway, he extended the hand to ex-President Kufuor to come and join in commissioning it. Some elements will not allow President Kufuor to go and do that. I mean, how can we do this kind of thing to ourselves? Political opponents are not enemies. If it were to be, we have to be enemies, the political opponents have to be enemies, then we'll be killing each other. But we haven't reached that stage, and I think we don't reach the stage where political opponents will start physical elimination of each other. I hope we don't reach there.
Well, that is if it is not already existing. I'm not saying anything, I'm just asking a question. That is if it's not already existing. Political elimination of each other, where members of one political party have to eliminate members of the other political party. But
let me tell you something. Okay. There are two forms of violence. Okay. You have the physical violence and verbal violence.
For the verbal violence, there we are there.
Yes.
Are we not there?
We are there. Verbal violence, by which you even manufacture or concoct lies and tell about somebody, knowing very well that it is not the truth.
So, for instance, the insincerity on both sides about the e-levy cake that we saw at a celebration of the majority leader when he was celebrating his birthday. I don't know where we should put that, whether it's verbal, but let's put that aside. Let's focus a bit more on independence. Now, yesterday the president spoke about our peers and economic development. Now, a typical peer, as far as independence in 1957 is concerned, is Malaysia. Now, Malaysia is having its own fair share of issues here and there. But through its struggles, Malaysia tends be developing at an increasing rate. Now, these are direct peers because, of course, apart from gaining independence in 1957, is the fact that we gained independence from the same masters, the British colonial rule. Now, when you compare Ghana's independence to Malaysia's independence and the progress made 65 years so far, what can we learn as a nation? Or perhaps, what is there to boast about? Which is the very question that my producers asked for me this morning. What is there to boast about 65 years after independence?
Peers are there.
Which is good for comparison, isn't it?
Yes. But the question is, what kind of development paradigms did the other people pursue as opposed to what we are pursuing. Lee Kuan Yew was Kwame Nkrumah's very close friend. He visited Ghana, I think, 1 or 2 occasions, and he virtually learned a lot from us. I understand he even asked Kwame Nkrumah to stop the teaching of classics in our schools. You know, classic Greek, Latin, and all that. We should concentrate on science. Today, if you go to KNUST, for example, it is likely that you have more liberal students in KNUST than we have science students in KNUST. But I dare say that KNUST seems to have lost its purpose.
Because science and technology.
Of science and technology.
Because of course, when you look at the from the years that KNUST was established up until now, and how it's developed scientifically and technologically, you ask what is the gap between science and technology education and our real existence.
Yes. Well, when KNUST was being created, the impression that the political thought gave us as children was that is where all the great scientific works were going to be done. Today, I'm not sure, but I don't seem to see anything that KNUST has done about our minerals. That the provision of refinery of the gold, or the improvements on our production of diamonds,
well,
or changing the box size.
Actually migrated from the KNUST, or perhaps let me mention the University of Mines and Technology, UMAT, which has one of its professors as a member of the Apiati Select Committee. I think that the responsibility was migrated from KNUST to UMAT as far as mines technology is concerned, or perhaps UMAT to augment.
No, don't get me wrong.
I'm not getting you. I'm saying that we have all of these establishments, but where is the progress?
The question is this. The question I'm asking. UMAT does mining, but what does it do after the minerals have been brought from the belly of the earth? Nothing. In fact, if you don't know, there is a hall of residence in UMAT known as a refinery hall. That was the structure that was being built to refine gold in Tarkwa. See how far we have deviated. That structure, which was going to be used to refine the gold before exporting it, has now been converted into a hall of residence. Are we going? Are we standing still? Or are we going back?
Contrary to the words of Kwame Nkrumah, forward ever, backwards never.
But we are going
backwards.
We are going backwards. Because if UMAT, I don't know, I haven't read the mandate of UMAT. But if it included improvements on the raw materials that are there, then there's something seriously wrong. That's why I'm putting the blame from KNUST, because KNUST was in existence about 2 times the age of UMAT. And the people who came to establish UMAT were hired off from KNUST, just like University of Winneba, Education Winneba was taken out of University of Cape Coast to train teachers and so on and so forth. So for me, we haven't added anything to anything as far as our development is concerned. We are still in the realms of the diggers of hackers of stone and hewers of wood and all those kind of things. Our technological development hasn't gone anywhere. We've got people who have got PhDs, okay, but what are they doing with their PhDs? I know there's a Department of Metallurgy in KNUST, and I would expect that they should be pushing this in the how to process the metals that we have, like gold, like turning bauxite into aluminium, and so on and so forth. The Galamsey people can even smelt the gold and make it into something loose like a loaves of bread, and
they call it gold bar.
It's a gold bar. That's all that we do to it. And people don't know that even during the refinery of the gold, certain byproducts are got. I know, for example, that when you are refining gold, you may get silver out of it, and probably many other byproducts that come out of it. But we take all those things to the Europeans who use it.
And then we buy them later.
We buy them later. For example, my cousin came from the U.S. He has been living in the U.S. for a long time. With his black American wife. He was bragging all the while that Ghana is a home of gold. The whole world produces 1/3 of the gold and something. Just for us to go to PMMC to go and get some of this. She said, no, the price of the trinkets are more expensive than it is in New York. So I asked myself, so what are we doing? If we can produce gold trinkets at a cheaper price than they produce in New York, imagine flying the gold all the way from here with the security to New York, and then still having it cheaper than those of us who are sitting
where it's actually,
yes,
extracted from.
Yes. So these are problems that we have. I don't think we have moved any far from where we are.
Well, yesterday, the presentation by His Excellency, I must say that I'm happy he touched on, almost all the aspects or every other aspect that I expected. So my expectation was on governance, was on security, was on the economy. He touched on all of these. On the economy, he spoke about taxation. He says that he also spoke about national unity and continental unity as well. Governance, security, yes, economy, unity, and all. On security, he speaks about people taking advantage of the current economic situation, which goes in line with the economic situation as it stands currently. Now, we heard from Professor Atuguba some weeks ago, where he says that he does not wish for a coup, but if nothing is done soon, we may experience a coup in the nation. Now, already we are having about 2 coup issues in the courts already. Now, do you think that perhaps the attention that we are paying to an imminent coup in the country is good enough, from those who are monging coups to the concerns, the response by government to these concerns is enough?
The issue about coup is a real problem. It's a real problem in the sense that each time people find themselves in opposition, they seem to threaten the disruption of law and order. And it is not good enough. But the question we want to ask ourselves is, why should we be using coup d'etat to threaten government? It is not fair to use the ultimate threat as an instrument to control government. But you want to ask yourself also why people are talking about coup d'etat. A friend of mine used to say that if you want to get something from a government of Ghana, demonstration is the best way to go. That is why when people want to go on demonstration in this country, government becomes jittery and they marshal up all the police and the armed forces in order to make sure that the demonstration does not go on. It has been so since the colonial times. When the soldiers decided to demonstrate in 1948, 28 February 1948, what did they meet? They were met with force, and 3 people died. The history has been repeating itself all over the years. Many demonstrations get people being injured, being shot, and so on and so forth. It is time we stop doing all those things. The coup d'etats have not, underlined, have not helped.
Well, we've experienced, you know, a couple of coups in the country, and of course, when you assess, I mean, I would agree with those who say that coups are not necessarily an answer to current economic situations, because you don't even know what policies whoever is planning the coup is coming in with, or what intentions they have. But still on you know, matters of coup, which I would put it under governance, for instance, which was one of those areas he touched on. Speaking on, he says that the great majority of us who are committed to democratic values and institutions will continue to resist the claims of these adventurers, that's the coup mongers, and deploy all legitimate means in our democracy to maintain our free, open systems of governance, which has respect the human rights, the rule of law, and the principles of democratic accountability. Now, I want us to touch on free, open system of governance, which has respect for human rights. And this is an administration that is headed by whom we know as a human rights activist or human rights lawyer, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. However, it is under the same leader that we have seen a couple of agitations which purport to, you know, be against the inhumane treatment of some Ghanaians, especially for journalists who decide to speak on national issues, and the nature of, you know, Rambo-style arrests that we see of journalists who speak on certain matters. On human rights, again, we are seeing an administration where its biggest opposition has appealed to an external court on the grounds of, you know, infringement of human rights. Could the president be true and sincere when he says that he maintains a free, open system of governance which has respect for human rights?
Let me say one thing to disabuse everybody's mind. There's no lawyer in Ghana who is not a human rights lawyer.
Okay.
What lawyers do is to defend the rights of the people against perceived oppression by the powers that be. So for the current president to say that he is the only human rights lawyer in this country.
No, he has not said that. But I mean, we regard him as such. And what he says is that
then it's a misconception. Every lawyer is a human rights lawyer.
Okay.
Because without human rights, what are you going to court to do? Somebody's property is being taken away from him by illegal means, and that is his right. His right to title to that property. So as a lawyer, you go and defend it. If he's arrested by the police, you go and get him bail. It's a human rights matter. If a child is being abused and a lawyer has to go to activate the court system to do it. All judges are human rights judges. There's no judge who doesn't deal with human rights.
So even though we regard you as, I mean, a court of appeal judge,
I'm a human rights person. That's what I handle. Every case in court is a human rights matter. So for somebody to claim that he's a human rights person, or to say there's an international lawyer, some people say they're international lawyer. There's not an international lawyer. You are a lawyer and you are a lawyer. That's it. If you are required to go, if you qualify in 2 or 3 jurisdictions, you are still a lawyer. There's nothing international about your law. So if we regard, or some people regard the current president as a human rights lawyer, yes, every lawyer is a human rights lawyer. Show me one lawyer who is not a human rights lawyer. Now, currently, some people are also saying that Sylvia Sosu is a human rights lawyer. What what does he do which is different from what other lawyers do? Except that maybe as a human rights lawyer, he is representing people free of charge. All lawyers do. We call it pro bono services.
Okay. Yes, of course.
If you see somebody who has nothing and is being, if people are cheating him or trampling on his rights, you can stand up for him. Whether he consults you or not. Sometimes even when you are in the courtroom and if it's going on and you find that the person is being bullied, you can get up as amicus curiae.
Yes.
And then provide the service. Everybody does it. In fact, all lawyers are required even to provide a certain amount of pro bono. So for example, somebody is charged with murder or capital offense and he can't get a lawyer. Any lawyer can volunteer to defend him free of charge. That is what the human rights is all about. Every lawyer is a human rights lawyer.
Well, so now the question is that is this administration, having that maximum respect for human rights or the rights of the citizens in the country, considering the number of demonstrations that we've had over the past period? I can remind you of the toll booth operators who were, taken out, without any pretext. We can talk about even, the NAPO beneficiaries who are not getting what is due them. They have worked for the state. They are not being paid. All of these are human rights matters. Journalists who are being gassed, for speaking the truth. And when we say we are being gassed, they don't want to agree. But when we speak, we get called. All of these matters of human rights. Do you think that they are respected? We are being respected as human beings and our rights being protected?
It's a yes and no situation. Number one is the kind of orientation our police have. Observing the conduct of police over the years, I think that they haven't changed very much from the colonial police mentality that they had.
So even under Dr. Dampare?
What has gone on under Dampare which has not gone on before? Dampare alone cannot change the police. Dampare alone cannot police Ghana. It is the training that they have from their institutes of training that will change the police. Because Dampare can be there for only 3 or 4 or 5 years. Or maximum, I think he's about 52 years old. If he lives long enough, he might do 8 years, probably being the longest serving IGP in this country. But unless he changes the mindset of the police through their training institutions, there's something called reorientation. Unless that is done, the semi-militarized kind of police that we have in this country will continue to embarrass government. Because when it is done under your care, you will be blamed for doing what has happened. So for me, if Ghana government going forward wants to have a more civilian police, then the syllabus and the orientation of the police colleges will need to be changed.
Well, let's leave that about governance and move on. Another area that he touched on is the economy. And you and I know, apart from where he made comparison of our GDP to our peers, our 12.2 GDP ratio to our peers, he says that I'm not quoting him, but he says that it's not encouraging. And so he goes on to touch on what is the very essence of our or what is very dominant as far as our economy is concerned right now: taxation, e-levy. And he says that he admits that taxation. He says that taxation is a way to go, which I find to be very contrary to his, campaign promises and campaign messaging. But he also admits that not every Ghanaian, not everybody is ready to go on that tangent. He however stands or remains adamant on the fact that taxation is the way to go. Now, we seem confused as a nation when the same leader who tells us that he is coming to move us from taxation to production continuously introduces new taxes from baller tax to whatever now to imminent levy. How is it?
It depends on what contribution the generality of the population is making to development. Every nation will have to tax people. Over-concentration on taxation deprives people from making more profits and making more investment. So what happens is that you need to put in something in order to take something out. My observation is that Ghanaians consume too much and they don't make savings.
When you say we consume too much, is that we eat too much?
We spend too much. You see, an average Ghanaian wants to drive the best car. They want to live in the best house.
But having these relative times, what you would describe as the best car may not necessarily.
Well, let me put it this way.
Okay. Well, let's hold on that one. Let's hold on that. Very, very interesting point. We want to take a quick turn. Yeah, I'm here with Justice Isaac Dose. He's an appeal court judge. He's a human rights judge as well. We just learn exactly. When we come back from this break, we're going to continue with the conversation and wrap up the space for the next segment. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome aboard the safest airline in Africa. With industry-leading safety measures to protect your well-being. The first in Africa to earn a diamond standard of safety. Offering a more contactless, safe, and seamless experience. Delivered with a smile by Africa's first fully vaccinated crew. Creating special memories that bring the joy back to flying, so you can continue making memories with your loved ones. Book your flight with RwandAir today. RwandAir, the safest airline in Africa.
RwandAir, fly the dream of Africa.
He's riding. In fact, he's cruising. That's the word to use.
That's one typical example of conspicuous consumption, which is not necessary.
Right.
You see, if you want to travel with a V8, for example, to Kumasi, and you are in the Kumasi constituency, and you want to be comfortable, fine. But not when you are in. You could buy a very reasonably priced car, say a Toyota Camry, or to do your rounds in Accra, but not to go and buy a V8, which you don't really need. That is the kind of example that I'm talking about. Right. You see, there's the income structure in our country is such that you can't get enough tax from PAYE. And PAYE, the pay as you earn system, is the best way in which many nations collect tax from the people. But if people are unemployed, or if they are poorly paid, your tax you collect will also be like what the Ghans call adope susu.
Oh, yeah. Like peanuts.
Yes, when poor people make susu, they collect poor susu. But when rich men do, then they collect this. For example, you are talking about taxation in our system. If a Ghanaian starts a business today, tomorrow he will pay income, corporate income tax. A foreigner comes and he's given 5 years tax holiday. I think perhaps if you give the Ghanaian also the 5-year tax holiday, when he makes the money, he will normally expect that he will keep the money in Ghana. But if you give the foreigner the 5-year tax holiday, that increases his profitability. And he will not keep the money in Ghana. Because he's not coming here to fall in love with Ghana. He is coming to make money and take back home. So taxation by all means. But then you need to expand the tax net in such a way that more people will be employed, and then you can get more tax from the small drops of water make a mighty ocean.
Certainly, and a classical example of to whom much is given, much is expected. When you are paying the people enough, then you're expecting to,
that's the motto of University of Ghana.
Oh, I see.
Qui multum datum.
Oh, I see. I see. All right. To whom much is given, much is expected. Well, Justice, thank you very much for your time. But before you go, because we are celebrating independence, and because also that you are older than Ghana, I would want to tap into your knowledge a little bit. 65 years and we are still merely grabbing on. What would be your advice? Just probably one advice on the way to go.
See, a nation travels. A nation travels. So we say forward ever, backwards never, as you said about Kwame Nkrumah. Everybody should accept that we shouldn't go back and we shouldn't stand, but we must go forward.
Right.
But we must go forward in unity. And in unity means that we must agree on where we want to go, how we want to go. But where there is so much bickering and acrimony as to whether we are going to Kumasi, you can go to Kumasi through many channels. You can go to Kumasi going through Koforidua. You can go to Kumasi going through Yamaranza. You can even make a new road. You can go to Kumasi going through Nsawam. You can even make a new road to Kumasi. But let us agree that we are going to Kumasi. So if anybody comes into government, he must pursue the fact journey that we are going to Kumasi. We shouldn't allow him to say that because I said we should go to Koforidua, and you have made a road through Yamaranza, you are almost about to get to Kumasi, because I did not agree. Now I'll stop that road and come and start
the one that, through the sea, all the way back.
this is the political nonsense that has bedeviled our development. If only we will agree. That is one thing that will bring about unity. Ninoy Thompson or somebody was the one who was in charge of NDC's national development, whatever in those days. Now there's another professor who is in charge of the NPP's national development, I can't say that any of them is bad. I can't say any of them is bad. I believe that all of them are working for the best, in the best nation, so in the nation's best interest.
Right.
But let us, as a people, realize that our resources are not too much, and we must harness them in the most economical and cost-effective way. So, for example, if I get government tomorrow, what I will do is to make sure that all the uncompleted projects, no matter who starts them, should be completed. Because you see, you lock money up there. And the money is locked up there. You can't use it. Nobody can use it. The building cannot be used for any purpose. Maybe if it is roofed, then you have squatters living in it for as long as possible. So my prayer that, and then the president's speech is very good in all aspects of it, but can we walk the talk?
Well, I think that this is the question and food for thought for the moment. Very good speech, very good presentation, a very good idea that from Tamale to Kumasi, and then COVID-19 disrupted the observation. We went to Cape Coast. Probably next year we're supposed to see some other region hosting the. I mean, all of these are very good, but the question is that can we walk the talk? Justice Isaac Dosing has been my guest for this morning as we reflect on yesterday's observing. Justice, thank you very much for your time, and we are grateful that anytime we call you, you extend your helping hands to us. God bless you so much. At this point, we want to ask this simple question that Justice posed to us. Can we walk the talk? 65 years of independence. Are we just talking? Are we just blabbing? Are we just speaking all over the place? And sometimes in speaking too much, we spit as well. Or perhaps we are putting efforts to implementing all of these plans that we have. Well, my name is Reginald Addy, and I want to, on behalf of the entire team, wish you a happy Independence Day. Today is a holiday. Yeah, that one day we are grateful to the president. Holidays there we all like. But remember that if you don't go to work tomorrow, anything may happen. So stay safe, enjoy Ghana, love Ghana, feel Ghana, experience Ghana, eat Ghana, sleep Ghana, walk Ghana, in fact, broadcast Ghana, live Ghana, and be Ghana. And remember that in all your doings, we only have one Ghana. My name is Reginald Addy, and I have one Ghana in my pocket, which I'm going to use to buy cocoa. It can't buy the cocoa unless I'm buying without sugar. I'll see you tomorrow with some more conversations. Have a lovely day.